Hi, I'm Kathy Brooks, the host of The Kathy Brooks Show. Come discover three pillars: spirit, soul, and body.
Kathy Brooks Show starts now.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. And if it's your first time, welcome. If you have been here before, welcome. My name is Kathy, and I'm the host of The Kathy Brooks Show. I'm so glad you stopped by tonight. And you are in for a treat. You know why? This is the Life Makeover Series. And also, this is, if you don't know, Stunner Radio also has a companion, Stunner Magazine. And we are celebrating men this month. So isn't that exciting? You got to see the magazine. Oh my goodness, it's full of men. If you like men, just stop by and you can get an eye full. So without further ado, let's get into the subject today. Today, our subject, let me tell you about the Life Makeover Series. The Life Makeover Series is about highlighting men and women who have made big changes in their lives. They have went from one category to, and they have up-leveled themselves into another category. Tonight, I have a special guest. His name is Vernon P. Davis Jr. And we're going to go ahead and introduce him and get right into it. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about Vernon. Vernon Davis is a former soda enthusiast who fully embraced his weakness for pizza and icing. For many years, Vernon struggled with low self-esteem and found his identity and comfort in food and sugary drinks. Now, we all have done that. After receiving a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, he began his journey of healing naturally through lifestyle modifications. During the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic and a new baby, Vernon lost 50 pounds and reversed his chronic illness with no medication. No medication. We are going to get into the story because I'm excited to hear how Vernon did it. Don't you want to know? Welcome, Vernon. How are you?
Kathy, I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. I told a little bit about you and what you were able to do. And I'm excited to get into it because I know that there are many, many people out here with diabetes. So before I get into all this, actually, I want to give some statistics. Let me do that so we can get off. We're gonna get off strong. Okay, so here's a few statistics about diabetes. In 2019, 37.3 million Americans, or 11.3% of the population has diabetes. Diagnosed and undiagnosed, 28.7 million were diagnosed and 8.5 million were undiagnosed. New cases, 1.4 million Americans are diagnosed with diabetes every year. 90 to 95% of these diagnoses are type 2. Wow. Wow. Woo, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people. So I wanted to get into that and get that out there so people can know this is big. This is big. And I want to not delay and let you tell your story, but tell us a little bit about Vernon and how you got here. And we'll get into all the logistics about it.
Yeah, so how I got here, I grew up in a very loving home with both my parents, my mother and my father. And my father was a very hard-working man, putting in anywhere from 8 to 16 hours of work per day, working for one of the global chip manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And with his position, we always got the new snacks that came from this company. And in addition to that, we always had an excess of current snacks that were in rotation in the grocery store. We would get them, and we would get them in excess. And a lot of these snacks paired very well with like sandwiches, and fried foods, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to all of that, my mom, she liked to go out and purchase food for us to consume. It was just easier for cleanup, and it was easy on my dad as well. And so we ate out a lot growing up. And as I got older, and realized how much I really enjoyed food, the taste, the sensation that came with being satisfied from
Mm-hmm.
consuming, various items, staple items, especially in the Southern community. I learned to, run to that when I felt moments of discomfort, of sadness, of frustration, of anger. Go get something to eat, and something to drink as well. Most notably, a tea or a soda.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I got older, into college, it just really spiraled out of control with, kind of preparing myself for, lack of better words, tough situations. Well, I can, go ahead and have this food on hand, or go ahead and consume this, so I know that I feel good for the day. If nothing else makes me feel good, I at least have had consumed this and put on a, excess amount of pounds. And at one point, I was fortunate to be able to, get that weight off. And then I moved across the country, went through some life changes, different situations, and I reverted back to what I knew for comfort, which was food and sugary drinks. And the pandemic hit. I started experiencing, different symptoms that I had no explanation for, from blurred vision, and this is with wearing my corrective lenses. So blurred vision, excessive urination, mouth was always dry, so I was thirsty. Had different pains throughout my body, most notably on the right side of my body. Then experiencing a lot of tingling sensations and numbness that I had, no knowledge of where it originated from. Come to find out, that was neuropathy. And so, at just about at a cellular level, I was, really, really damaged. And
Okay.
my wife really encouraged me to go to the doctor. She pushed me, actually, and I went. And that's when I found out I was type 2 diabetic.
Okay. So, um, I got a million questions, but
Oh yeah.
let's get to it. So, at the time, can you share with us like what was your, if you want to share your weight, but what was your A1C and your glucose level at the time you found out that you was diagnosed?
Oh yeah. Yes, indeed. So my A1C level was greater than 15.5. So I don't know the exact number. That is what the doctors were able to share with me, because it was off the scale what they utilized, off the
Wow.
charts, which was actually very horrible. My blood glucose level was 479. No, I lied. 476. It was 476. That was my blood glucose level. I weighed on that day. I was 274 pounds, and what I was much heavier than that the day before. One of the things that I learned through my journey is that we're heavier at night, and we wake up in the morning at least half a pound lighter.
Hmm.
But the day I was diagnosed, I weighed in at 274.
Okay. Okay. So now I'm not diabetic, so you're gonna have to help me and break this down a little bit. I know the A1C. So what is it? Yours was 15.5. What should it
Over 15.5.
over 15.5? What should that number be? What should it look like?
So anything over 7.4 is considered type 2 diabetic.
Okay.
Anything between 5.7 and 7.4 is, 5.7 and 7.3 is considered type pre-diabetes. And I apologize. Rephrase that. Anything over 6.4 is considered type 2 diabetic, and then
Okay.
anything between 5.7 and 6.3 is considered pre-diabetic, and 5.5 and 5.6 and under is normal.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, I just went and got a checkup, and I got all my numbers and stuff. So whew, I'm just blessed. My numbers came back good. But
Yeah.
what I wanted to ask you is, I remember when I had a little bout with blood pressure or whatever. You know, you go to the hospital, they give you the medicine and all this other stuff, and it's kind of like it's a shock, almost like, okay, I have this thing. I don't know how to. I know I need to change, but I don't know how to do it because you have a habit of these bad things.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about your journey? I think you chronicled it in your book. So talk to us about what that day looked like after you got out the doctor's office and you like, okay, I got to make some changes.
And Kath, I can't even go into what it was like after the doctor's office without giving a little bit of background on what took place prior to.
Okay, go
So,
ahead.
for context, because the question that you asked is great. What fueled this life-changing lifestyle in
Mhm.
such a an immediate fashion, right? So prior to the doctor, my wife and I went to Michigan for my one of my best friends was getting married to the love of her life,
Mhm.
and so I was fortunate to be a part of one of the groomsmen, and the groom was a great friend of mine. And so we went to Michigan. En route to Michigan, we drove, and that's when I realized I really had a problem. So every
Mhm.
hour on the hour was pulling over on the side of the highway to urinate because I couldn't make it,
Wow.
to the next, gas station or restaurant. And the sensation would come immediate to where it felt like, oh my gosh, I can't hold it. So I
Oh
can
my.
go 1 minute from, yeah, I don't have to use the restroom, like I'm fine, to 60 seconds later, like, oh my gosh, I need to do something now. I'm gonna wet my pants. So that's
Mhm.
what I was feeling. And I remember my wife asking me, have you dealt with this recently? And at the time I told her no. Well, looking back on it, the answer was actually yes, but I didn't think about it as an issue because I was working from home. And so
Right.
my restroom was right around the corner from my workstation. It was nothing to say, oh, well, let me press pause on, whatever assignment, go use the restroom, come back and resume. It was
Mhm.
the restroom was just it was accessible. But in transit from one state to another, the restroom was not accessible, easily accessible. And so, pulling over on the side of the highway to urinate was the first sign. The second sign, also on this trip, was in addition to that sensation and pulling over to urinate, immediately going somewhere to buy a beverage, claiming that I was thirsty. No
Right.
matter how much I consumed, the thirst I couldn't quench it. So that was
Wow.
the next sign. Then the blurred vision that I was experiencing that was just on and off, which was very scary, especially in the evening time, where I was sharing with my wife like, hey, we need to stop somewhere because I'm scared that I won't be able to see. Um, and then the final thing that really hit home for me that I had an issue was, in efforts to not ruin my friend's wedding, since I was going to, be up there with the wedding party.
Yeah.
In efforts not to ruin it, I said, hey, the night before the wedding, I'm not going to consume anything, and so that should
Ooh.
give me roughly 16 hours to, empty my bladder, not have to worry about any liquids
Mhm.
coming in, thus needing to come out. And so,
Okay. So
I
how
said,
that
okay, well,
turn
that's a
out?
good plan, man. It
Didn't
didn't
work out.
work. It didn't work, Kathy. So I believe it was 8 p.m. the night before where I stopped consuming liquids. I urinated frequently throughout the night at me and my wife's hotel room. And then the next morning on the way to meet with the wedding party, I asked my wife if we could stop at this nearby random parking lot for me to go urinate behind a dumpster. And this was maybe 11 a.m. that
Mhm.
morning. So 15 hours after I last consumed a beverage. Well, the wedding was around maybe 1 or 2, and so I remember being on the party bus en route to the wedding location, and just thinking to myself like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm hurting right now." And fortunately, I didn't wet myself. The wedding went smooth, and I was able to pace myself as I walked. But soon as they said "I do," and we were all
He was
dismissed,
out of there.
uh, I I ran
Oh
to my
my goodness.
vehicle, and me and my wife, who was at a park. It was called Bell's Isles or Bell's Island, somewhere in that Detroit, Michigan area, and went and urinated behind a large tree, and felt very relieved. And that's when I knew that day considering everything that had taken place, over the last, 18 hours, like, okay, I really have a serious problem.
Okay.
My wife,
Okay.
urged me to go
So
to the doctor.
let's get okay. The name of your book is called
Hmm.
Uncomfortable Peace: Stepping Outside My Comfort Zone to Naturally Beat Type 2 Diabetes. So, okay, you say it was a natural process that you did to do it. So, let me see. I wanted to bring up. Uh, okay, so I'm assuming, once you went to the doctor, did they put you on medicine and then you just decided you was going to take it, but you're going to beat it another way? Is that the route you took?
That's correct. They did prescribe several medications that day. And, after about 3 minutes of Googling the side effects, I told them I wasn't going to take it.
Oh, okay. So you never took any medicines.
Nope, never took any prescription medication.
Okay, so you was betting on yourself. So you gained some self-confidence to say, okay, you started researching what you can do to fix this.
Yeah,
Wow.
and looking back, I like the way you classified that, betting on myself. In the moment, my thought process was, well, if these are the side effects, they're actually worse than the actual condition that I'm having, and so why,
Mm,
allow for that to be a possibility for myself? I need to figure out another way. And
okay.
then the other way, I slowly started, building up that regimen. But it
Okay.
started with what I consider to be my last significant display of rebellion.
So you had to wean. Did you wean yourself off of the soda? Because I know it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people drink soda. Some people don't even consume water. That's the
Mm,
only beverage that they have. If it's not soda, it's something sugary. Uh, and a lot of people think that if they don't drink soda and they drink juice, uh, it's a big, I'm not drinking soda, so it's not bad. But some juices have as much sugar as soda does. So
mhm.
it's like trading one bad thing for it's I guess the less of two evils, because they're both not that great for you, especially when you consume it on a regular basis. So, talk to me about like these are major, major things. Because I know when I decided to make some changes in my health, it wasn't all at once because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it all at once because I say it like this. I was looking for a drive-through breakthrough, but I didn't get here at the drive-through. I
Yeah,
got here at the buffet. It took my
yeah.
time. Took my time. So I knew that whatever it was that I was going to do, it first had to work for me. It had to work for my schedule, and it had to be something, you kind of tweak it to make it effective for you. So in the intro, I showed like, your before and after, and you can follow him on Instagram and Facebook and see all his workouts and the weightlifting and the training and all
Shout
the
out to
stuff you
Tony
do.
Lee.
So, I know this kind of change can't be something, like you just have a goal. I'm going to do this until I get in my swimsuit or until my numbers go down. Because if you do it like that, you're going to always fluctuate. You got to make a lifestyle change.
Hmm.
So, in saying that, give us like a picture or a day in the life of, you know, how what changes you did. Do you meal prep? Talk to us about, some of the things, some of the changes that you've made and how it's are you still eating out on a regular basis? How does that look for you?
Oh yeah, all of those are great questions. I do want to respond to the first one
Okay,
that you
go.
had about the soda and juice. So
Mm,
yes, I stopped consuming soda and juice the same day that I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Um, you could
good.
classify it as cold turkey. You
Bravo.
know, in my book, I do detail how prior to my doctor's appointment, I stopped at a local convenience store and purchased five sugary drinks in preparation for bad news. I needed
Mm.
something to comfort me. But throughout that conversation, you know, I realized that, hey, this type 2 diabetes issue, I did it to myself. One of the major contributors was soda and juice. And so, you know, that was the last day I had soda and juice. You know, I threw those beverages away. I took one sip from, I think it was a fruit punch that I purchased. Of those 5, I took one sip and I threw them all away. And so I
Well,
haven't had soda or juice since that day.
well, bravo to you. That, I mean, you was ready to go hard for it because you knew how important this is, and you know that kind of diagnosis it is scary. It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
So let me ask you this. I know I asked you like a whole bunch of questions, but
It's
this one
okay.
just came up. Is this something that was part of your what is it, genetics? Anybody else in your family have diabetes been diagnosed?
That's a great question. So I thought that type 2 diabetes was hereditary, when in fact it's not. What happens, so to answer your question, no, I had no other, immediate relatives that were type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetes to my knowledge.
Okay.
But what happens is, and this is where the misconception that it is hereditary, the practices and the habits that lead to type 2 diabetes are passed down from generation to generation. And that is how families continue to deal with or continue to have to deal with the type 2 diabetes epidemic, is because
Great. I
what
mean,
leads to it,
yes,
the actions are passed down, the habits are
that's
passed
true.
down.
That's true. You know, and to kind of break it down a little bit, it's, you know, consuming whatever types of food we might eat that is not, um, I don't want to use this, that ain't good for us. And you get used to it. And if that's how mama used to prepare her food or grandmother used to prepare her food, that's how you know how to prepare your food. So when I use the word lifestyle change, it's not just about um, you know, it's about going back and relearning some ways to prepare food, what you can and cannot eat,
Hmm.
you know, and we always call it sugar or we call it, too much salt or whatever, but we have to understand it's more than just the sugary drinks. That's a big contributor, but there's some other things in there too. And I'm
Yeah.
sure, I'm sure your book gets into that. I know the second one does because I didn't mention it. The second one talks about, preparing food and, it'll walk you through like a cookbook, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let
Yep.
me let
Just
me
like a
let me
cookbook.
I brought it up, but let me bring up the name so everybody will know the name of that. Tell us the name of that second book you got.
Morsel medicine. I just need a small portion of food to heal.
Oh wow, that's good. That's good. Oh, you got it. Okay, that's cool.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
there's a quote, and I can't think of it right now, but I had a doctor on, and we were talking about food as your medicine. And it looks like you are a prime example of how food can medicate you. And it is the ultimate healer. God has already given us everything we need. It's just
Yep.
a matter of, us understanding and treating our bodies properly. So I like the fact that we don't have to it don't always have to be something that's inherited. It don't have to always be something that's in our family, but in our bad eating habits, we can cause this illness to come upon us. But you are living proof that it can be reversed. So that is fantastic. So I did ask you some other questions. I'm gonna let you go ahead and answer those. And that was, how has your eating changed? Do you still go out, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, great question. So, shout out to two of my great friends who were both very assistive in me, making it to where I am today, to be healing my body. One of them, Breon Reed, he, really took his time and taught me about the power of natural herbs and sea vegetables and the power of fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
And then my trainer, also a great friend, Tony Lee, who talked to me consistently about food and the physical fitness aspect, and what was going to be needed in order to heal myself. I used to be very lazy playing video games all day. Now I don't hardly play video games, not because I don't want to, but because I just don't have the time. And
Mm.
so, what it looks like for me now, do I eat out? At some point, I venture to say, most months I eat out once a week. In most cases, sometimes twice. And even with that, there are some things that I either don't consume when I eat out, or I don't consume much of. I'm very, very intentional about consuming different things that's in my second book on a consistent basis. I'm very, very intentional about the times of day that I eat. Um, I drink 1.5 to 2 gallons of water a day, spring water. That's the only beverage that I consume unless I'm making a smoothie that I make
Mhm.
at the house with fruits and vegetables that I'm familiar with, and nothing added, like no nothing to make it sweet or anything like that. But a typical day for me, about 4 times a week, I'll get up anywhere between 3 and 4 a.m. and I'll prepare myself for the day and be at the gym anytime between 4:30 and 5:30 to either work out on my own or to work out with my trainer Tony Lee, doing anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, and then that's it for the fitness aspect
Okay.
for that day. So it doesn't take a lot of time. Um, my brother Swole, I believe he said it was it's 4% of our day. If we just spend 4% of our day contribute to physical fitness, we'll be, I think, 90 times better or 90% better. I forget the number, but
Well,
he
you
really
said
harped
your
in on
brother
it.
Swole. With a brother with a name Swole, hey, you had to get it right.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's great guy. I actually met him through my biological cousin. So he's my brother. Swole is my brother in Christ. I met him through my biological cousin, and
Mhm.
Swole's actually a professional bodybuilder. And so us meeting was was very monumental for me and my family, due to his status, and what it is that he desires to do and to see as far as change is concerned in our community. But yeah, typical day. Go to the gym, get that out the way, shower, and then I'm having my first meal. Either it's a smoothie with an apple on the side, or I'm making plantain pancakes, which
Pancake,
is a
pancake.
huge change from what I'm familiar with as far as buttermilk pancakes, or even store bought pancake mix and you just add water. But these are more healthy for you. We actually
Hmm.
use oat flour, and we don't buy our oat flour. We take oats, the Quaker oats that come in
Mhm,
a
blender.
huge container, and we
Hmm.
blend it up in a blender until it's powdery, and we
Yeah.
mix that with the mashed plantain, or we in another blender we'll take a plantain and mix it with some water, blend it with some water, then combine it with the oats and to the thickness or the consistency of our liking, and we'll drop it in some grapeseed
Okay.
oil on the skillet, and boom, now we
Okay.
have a pancake
Shoot, I
that
should
we
have
can
had you
consume
do a
guilt
little
free.
cooking, get a little cooking demo. I've never had
Look,
plantain pancakes.
look, Kathy. Once I get a handle on things at work, I do intend on putting out some videos of preparing some of the items in this book. But it's so easy to prepare, and one of the things that Tony Lee, he taught me when I was beginning this journey, because my concern became for my child, which I found out my wife
Right.
and I were pregnant a month
Hmm.
after I was diagnosed, and so then my focus really shifted to getting getting well so that I can be around for my child, but also
Right.
getting well so that I can display what I wanted my child to be
Right.
able to portray. And
Great
so,
motivation.
I
Right.
asked him, I said, Tony, how do you keep your kids enthused about consuming, these items, which are primarily plant-based? And he said, man, they can't eat what's not at home. And so he's like, it starts with what you intentionally go out and purchase from the grocery store and bring into your home. And I took that to heart. And so there's a lot of things that I used to consume that, we do not bring into this home. And then there are some things that we consume on occasion that we bring into our home, very, very small quantity. But my son,
Yeah,
there's a lot
yeah.
of things that he hasn't eaten in comparison to his peers and relatives that are near his age. My son
Wow.
hasn't had chicken, he hasn't had juice,
Mhm.
he hasn't had chips.
I can
There's a lot of
attest to
things that he
that.
hasn't had.
That's so true. That's so true, especially when they're young, because I cooked a lot at home, and I never introduced certain things to my
Yeah,
kids, and they are great consumers of vegetables. They love vegetables. They love fruit. They're not that big on sweets. I am, but what I found was when I was buying snacks, it was mostly for me. And I
yeah,
was like, I can't bring it home. If I wanted to eat it, I had to eat it. Whatever small amount, I wouldn't buy a whole, a box of it. I would buy one, eat it, and I'm done. And I can't bring it home. And that is so true. And I have another friend. She mainly cooks at home, and she never introduced her children to like the McDonald's, any kind of drive-through or anything like that. But once she did, just like one time, it's very, very hard.
mm,
That's what they want. But when you're out and that's what they see other people eating, other kids consuming. um, but if it's not a regular thing, it's fine. But I can truly attest to that, and that is so true. um, if you don't have it in front of you, you know um, and on that note, as you walk this journey, as you begin to figure out, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, did you have any occasion where you kind of slid back into your old habits, especially when, things wasn't quite going as you thought? You working out, you're doing the things you're supposed to do, but how couple of questions. When you was doing this, how often did you check in with the doctor to see, your numbers and all that kind of stuff? And yeah, let's do that question first. I don't want to bombard
yeah.
you with too many questions.
So I went to see the doctor every 3 months,
Okay.
for that 3 month checkup. I wasn't going to do anything extra as far as going out of my way to go see them, because I didn't want to cause myself the stress and deal with the anxiety. I
Okay.
felt
Good.
like 3 months, 90 days was enough time in between each visit to make any necessary tweaks that I needed to make to continuously improve, and it worked for me.
Mhm.
Now there are some that are type 2 diabetic not familiar with. They go every month, and that's fine. That works. That's what they choose to do because it works for them. I found that keeping it as simple as possible really helped for my mental health, which had a huge impact on my physical health.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like what you said earlier when you talked about being intentional. I think in a lot of ways, no matter what it is that we're going to do, especially with a big change like this, uh, it's almost confrontational. This thing that you had, it wasn't nothing that was going to go away on its own. You
Right.
either had to deal with it in one way or the other, and you chose, okay, I'm going to deal with it naturally, because you looked at the side effects, you did your research, and you knew that there was another option to get it done. So in doing that, you had to set some intentions, and going back to the doctor every 90 days allowed you some space to see, like you said, what would work for you, what wouldn't work for you. And I think that that's a very good point to bring home to a lot of folks. um, Even when you're faced with um, this type of diagnosis, it's possible to turn it around.
Yes,
Now,
indeed.
this is definitely your story, and everybody's not going to have the same story, but they can all have the same result. You know, maybe a little different, but just hearing this, someone can have the same result. And some people, I come across some people. The other night, I ran into some guy. I mean, he was telling me he had this problem or whatever, and he said that they gave him some medicine for it, and he's not supposed to have soda. And I was looking at him, I said, "What is that in your hand?" He was like, "It's just a little soda." I was like, "But that's not what the medicine is for. It's not so it allow you to have it. You need to, make the adjustment. Sometimes we use medicine as a crutch to continue our bad habits." So I just want to applaud you, first of all, for recognizing the importance of where you were, this pivotal moment in your life. You had a lot of motivation to change. The numbers was looking at you. The new baby was looking at you. Being a dad was looking at you. And you had to face that and be confronted with it. And bravo to you. Bravo to you. I give you kudos for that. That's not an easy thing. It's not easy to make these changes. Now that you're on the other side of it, you can show people that it's possible. And in that segue, you are also a motivational speaker. So talk to us who is like, I know there's many that can be your target audience, but right now, who do you talk to and talk to us about, you motivating folks?
Yeah, so I actually dropped the title there of motivational speaking, and I transitioned to impact speaking with the mindset of I'm looking to impact lives for a lifetime versus motivating someone for the moment. And so a lot of my conversations are individual basis. With people in my inner circle and directly outside of my inner circle, so maybe a friend of a friend who's going through whatever challenges they're going through, because everything that I've learned and the principles that I've utilized in order to make it to where I am today are applicable to all facets of life. On a slightly larger scale, I do speak to individuals that are struggling with being overweight. Individuals that are pre-diabetic or even type 2 diabetic. And this year I was fortunate to be able to speak at the National Association of Blacks in Criminal Justice annual conference. I presented a workshop just about my journey, and I'll be going to the American Probation and Parole Association conference in February to speak there as well. I've been trying to get into the prison population to be able to speak to the men and women that are incarcerated, where more times than not, their reason for incarceration stems from an emotional decision, and emotional decisions is what led me to the type 2 diabetes diagnosis that I had received. Just one emotional decision after another. And so, really fighting to get into that prison population. It is a process. I was very fortunate to speak with the Department of Corrections for the state in which I reside, speaking to the Director of Health Services, and a few other notable individuals throughout that agency, and just waiting to see what's going to come of that. But Kathy, and I say this with the utmost respect. Regardless of who I'm fortunate enough to stand in front of or to be on video chat with or speak with on the phone, as long as my family is able to learn and apply just the different things that I've learned to help me achieve the goals that I set for myself en route to helping them achieve theirs, that's what matters to me the most. It's just a cherry on top of being able to help other people better their lives and improve their lives, whereas the majority of that Sunday, if you will, is my family and making sure that they don't have to go through what I went through in more ways than one, and learning from my mistakes and my errors and the lessons that God allowed for me to experience for not only my own benefit now, but for their benefit as well.
Well, that's very well said. Very well said, because my mother always told me that our family is our first ministry.
Yep.
They are our first ministry. Our children, when you're in a relationship, that's a ministry. So when we take care of that and put our energy in that, it'll spill over into the rest of our lives. So that's great. That's great. And you are correct. That is your first ministry. So, and I like the fact that you said impact speaker. And I would add to that. I mean, impact it's phenomenal, but I think your story is transformative. It's transformative.
Come on now.
Because what you are an example of what is possible. And, you know, I believe that God allows us, he wants us to be in good health. And sometimes it's out of ignorance that we're not, you know, and it's not always, like you said, it's not always hereditary. It's something that we've learned, a behavior that we've learned. But he wants us to be a walking, talking demonstration of what's possible. And I think you are transformative in that sense. You know, it's not just you're saying what's possible. You're not like you're a doctor standing up there talking about your numbers and all that. You're speaking out of an experience that you were able to transform yourself out of. So that's amazing. That's amazing. I keep giving you kudos because when I read those statistics in the beginning, they are phenomenal. They are overwhelming.
Oh my gosh,
overwhelming. Yes. And there are people dealing with diabetes. And I remember someone in my family who's dealing with it, several people, and they're not having the best results as you're having because number one thing you did say that it takes it's emotional. It's emotional. Mm-hmm. It's emotional and it's mental. Because if you are in denial of what's going on and you see the numbers, but you're not ready to deal with it because you're not ready to give up those things. You're not ready to give up those comforts. And I do understand that because I have challenges of my own. When you're not ready to do that, but you confronted it and said, okay, this is here. This is what it is. Am I willing to go to the other side of it? So again, kudos to you for that. Let me see. I wanted to, in your book, I'm bringing it up here. Now, you talked about uncomfortable peace, stepping outside my comfort zone to naturally beat type 2 diabetes. Talk to me. Where does that title? It's kind of what's the word? Uncomfortable and peace kind of don't go together. Because when you at peace, you should be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. That is the exact mindset that we have. That we have to stay, and I was this way for so many years. We have to stay comfortable to be at peace. For me, staying comfortable was making me miserable. Slowly but surely, it was making me miserable. I mean, so much so, just taking, my rest, for example. I didn't get enough rest because I stayed up late playing PlayStation. Well, I stayed up playing PlayStation because I was comfortable with doing that. That's why I found it to be peaceful for me. But in all the other areas of my life that require me to be able to, be alert and fully functional, I wasn't rested in order to be able to perform outside the walls of my home. And so I was a liability not only for myself, but for others that depended on me. And so, just using that as an example. And so once I cracked the code on true peace and success requires me to put myself in an uncomfortable status, that is when I knew that I was headed in the right direction. And so it was only right that I incorporated that in the title of my book to be able to tell my story, because it did require me being uncomfortable many a times. There are 4 times a week where I experience the most uncomfortable 20 seconds of my day, 4 times a week, which is when I consume veggie juice. It's disgusting. It sucks to drink. I had a client that, he tried it and he wasn't big on it. I let him know, like, hey, I drink it because it works. It helps me. Even though I don't like it. It's not a meal replacement. In my book, I label it as a meal enhancement.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a meal replacement, but it is, juiced veggies. Studies show that in doing so, consuming juiced vegetables, the nutrients of that food gets into the bloodstream much quicker. I believe within 15 minutes. And ever since I started incorporating juicing of vegetables, not fruit, because it doesn't make a difference in the taste combining them. So I eat my fruit, or I consume a fruit smoothie with one leafy green added to it. But as far as juicing is concerned, just consuming vegetables, bitter vegetables that are disgusting, I have seen a significant improvement in every area of my life. I mean, so
So,
much
so,
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 Kathy.
okay, okay,
Oh
Vernon,
yeah, go
look,
ahead.
this, now I juice too, but I don't, what's in this vegetable smoothie that you're drinking? You don't have any
Uh,
fruit in it? It's only vegetables?
Now, juice, not smoothie. So
Okay,
there's a difference.
okay,
So
yeah.
I actually have a juicer and I run the vegetables through it. And I forget it. It's in the book, but um, zucchini,
Mm-hmm.
bitter melon without the insides,
Yeah.
um, knob onions,
Yeah.
red Swiss chard,
Mm.
Thai eggplant, Chinese eggplant, and Indian eggplant. Um,
I don't like it.
Chinese mustard greens.
Ooh, it sounds like it's
Um,
bitter.
oh yeah, it's disgusting. It's just I have
Ah,
to chug it. I can't sip it. I can't drink it through a straw. I have to chug it. I chase it
so
with
how
some
much of
water.
it? 8 ounces? How much?
Great question.
Hmm.
So 8 to 16 ounces, depending on how much I prepare. 8 to 16
In
ounces.
one setting?
Yeah, one setting. Yep. In most cases, it's roughly 12, because it's foam that sits at the top after I put it in an 8 ounce container. I'm sorry, a 16 ounce mason jar. The foam sits at the top. I scoop the foam out right before I consume it. Um, yeah, but it's 4 times a week. I do it on the days that I work out. So if I work out, 5:30 in the morning, I'm done, by 6:15. I'm allowing the juice to thaw out. I'll consume it around 11 a.m. noon.
Okay, okay. Ooh, I'm gonna have to get that recipe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But sometimes we got to do stuff that's not. It works. You say it works, so
It works.
um,
Kathy,
yeah.
have you ever heard about taming the tongue?
Mm, a scripture?
And I do believe it is in the Bible, and I believe it's in reference to speaking. And so being mindful of the words that we utilize, and
Right.
not to misquote the Holy Scriptures, or take away or even add to that meaning.
Okay, let's
One
see.
of the things that I
This
concluded,
sounds very healthy.
um, from thinking of, oh, we had a question.
Oh, Lisa was saying the juice sounds very healthy, but but is there another way to consume it? The
I
juice.
mean, you can another way to consume the juice. I mean, if there is, I'm not knowledgeable of it. What I've learned through research, juicing vegetables allows for consuming juiced vegetables allows for the nutrients in those vegetables to enter your bloodstream, within 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've heard that too. But I was thinking as that question came in, can you heat it up or something?
Oh, I mean, if you want to
You probably killing
now.
the nutrients when you heat
Now,
it up
and
too.
and that is a good point. And so, one of the things that I learned through studying nutrition, going through a course, the way that we prepare foods in general has a significant impact on the amount of nutrients that we ingest when we consume them. And so,
True.
vegetables, for example, are most nutritious raw. And so that's one of the reasons why I consume the veggie juice unaltered, as not cooked. And if something is to be cooked, from my research, the best cooking method, if we're just talking about vegetables, for example, is to steam it. To get it to the texture you desire, but you don't lose, as much of its nutritional value like you would if you boil it or fry it, or even bake it.
Well,
So
I was thinking, as you were saying that, and as the question came through, one of the things that I used to do, and this is just Kathy, and I'm not a doctor or anything, but like when you juice, it's a lot to do it, and the cleanup and all that good stuff. So I wanted to do it every day, but then I quickly found out that it's time consuming. So a lot of times
oh
you
yeah,
do it and probably keep it in the refrigerator for maybe a day or two. But one of the things I would do is I take the juice that I did and put it in the ice cube thing, and freeze it, and then use those ice cubes in a smoothie and then drink it to give it a little bit of a better taste. That may be a better way to consume it. If you just,
yeah.
you may not get as much of the nutrients. I mean, you'll get the nutrients, but it may not have the quick effect as just downing it right away fresh. But you'll still get it as opposed to not getting any vegetables. You kind of got to get yourself used to getting it in, because you put that in, then maybe add, I don't know, maybe a fruit or something to help you get it down. Blend it up and drink it.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't
To the
know.
young lady, she just got to play with it and experiment and find what is satisfying to her. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I was the reason I was thinking, there is a scripture, I cannot think of it right now. But basically, when you were talking about being uncomfortable, and there's a scripture that says, you go through the pain now, but you look at it because of the result you're going to get. It's in Hebrews, but I cannot for the life of me. I used to always have that scripture available to me, but I can't think of it. How did you choose your ingredients for the juice? That's what Lisa wants.
Oh, great question. So, I did extensive research on various vegetables and the benefits of them. And,
Okay.
and, and that's one of the things that makes my book so unique is at the back of it, every ingredient that's made mention of in the book, in the back of it is the benefits of them. And
Okay.
so in doing my research on the best vegetables to heal this area of my body or that area of my body, I compiled them all, and I realized that they were all going to taste nasty, one way or another. So I just, juiced them all, and I
Okay.
make four, six. I use four 16-ounce mason jars, and so like you said, it is time consuming. So I do, make it once a week, and it takes about 30 minutes to do. But
Okay.
I think Lisa is her
Right.
name.
Lisa asked.
You can add fruit. And I did that initially to help with the taste, but I found for myself that adding fruit doesn't alter the taste at all. It actually it makes it more miserable because you're expecting to taste the fruit. And so once I realized that wasn't working for me, I would just eat my fruit, at whole, and then, guzzle down the vegetable juice. And then prior to consuming the vegetable juice, I was already making fruit smoothies, and I
Okay.
would add in a leafy vegetable, just one,
Okay.
to every fruit smoothie that I make, which consists of
Okay.
now it
Okay.
consists of cherries, strawberries, blueberries, and red Swiss chard, along with I
Lisa
use
said she was thinking
elderberry syrup.
maybe mint or ginger. Now, ginger is real strong. It's real potent. So I don't know if ginger
So
can make it better. Mint might.
I mean,
Mint.
good luck to you, Lisa. I consume mint, and I do put mint in my smoothies. I use mint because it's a natural stimulant. So I stopped drinking
Mhm.
energy drinks many years ago and found that mint gave me the same desired effect as far as alertness and a little bit of energy without having to deal with the crash. So I have mint leaves in my fruit smoothies, and then I also put mint leaves in my water. I'm surprised I don't have my container with me, but I put it in my water every day to consume when I consume my water. As far as
Yeah,
ginger,
ginger's
ginger
good. Yeah.
is burns.
Oh yeah.
It really does. So good luck with that. I use ginger. After I work
One
out, it's
one
a part
good
of my recovery drink.
one good like a shot. you have to get used to it, the taste, and it's really strong. It's lemons. If you juice lemons and ginger, that'll wake you up in the morning. That'll wake you up. Woo!
Yeah,
But I gotten used to it. But ginger is really strong and it burns. So
it is.
I would take my time with ginger. I would slowly add it in until you get used to the taste of it. It's really strong. And um, one of the things you did say, I wrote it down. You said energy drinks. That is another culprit to some people don't drink sodas, but a lot of people drink those energy drinks, thinking
Yeah.
they're getting the energy. They're getting a lot of caffeine and a lot of other stuff, but those are bad. I think they're kind of bad. Well, they do have some that are organic, so that might be something that people can start to look at. If you're a high consumer of energy drinks, you might not can quit cold turkey, but I would look into something that's organic, that gives you that natural, not that may be better to kind of start weaning yourself off of that, because I don't think those are maybe later on, because they're high, very popular now. Later on, they'll start telling us what the effect, and people start having effects of those energy drinks. So I was gonna.
Well, see, Kathy, that's and I'm so glad you said that. That is one of the I think one of the issues, at least in the Western world, is we wait for information to be given to us versus going to seek it out ourselves.
True.
One
You're
of
right.
the things with energy drinks and for any food or beverage that anyone consumes, I can't sit here and tell anyone what to do. I can only speak about what I've done, what's worked for me, just as anyone else, for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
but what I can do is recommend that any and everyone research the ingredients of the items that you consume, be it food or beverage. Research the ingredients and see, the pros and cons of those individual ingredients, and then you ask yourself, are you comfortable with putting this in your body?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And along this journey, I bet one of the things you learned how to do is read labels.
Oh man,
Reading
look,
labels is so important. And you would be
oh
so
my goodness.
surprised how much sugar, how much salt, how much whatever is in stuff. You have to read the labels. It's so important. Learn how to
I
read the
mean,
labels.
not only that, Kathy, you'll be surprised at how little the named ingredient, the ingredient that's a part of the name of the item, how
True.
little that ingredient truly is in the product.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, we could get into a whole nother show about all of that, but I don't think it's regulated. As long as that ingredient is there, you could put it
Hmm.
and promote that is there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could talk about this. Oh, the food industry. I was told, well, I've learned and told and learned from nutritional people and the people that have helped me along the way. When you go into the supermarket, the best places are on the perimeter.
Hmm.
First place I go when I go into the supermarket is the produce section. I get most of the things that I need in the produce, and then I go into the meat section. All the other sections, I don't really need that much. I go to produce, meat, dairy, and then some of the other things. But those, would you agree with that, or no? Is that the way you usually go in the grocery store?
So I go to an international market, and I go straight to the produce section.
Okay.
So there's that, and then I'll go get some beans and some lentils, the dry versions, and then there's a different store that I go to where I exclusively get the water that we consume, and then I'm out for the most part. Um, you know, and I've
Okay.
heard that same thing about the most beneficial is on the perimeter on the outside there. One of the things that I learned as I was putting the final touches on my second book, More So Medicine, and I mentioned here on the back cover, is that obesity and chronic illnesses. So type 2 diabetes is a chronic illness.
Mhm.
Obesity and chronic illnesses skyrocketed during the COVID-19 pandemic, as did the sales of many prepackaged, highly processed, convenient foods, which those are the foods that are in the middle of the in the middle aisles, the
Wow.
pre-packaged, highly processed foods.
Wow.
And so, there's something to be said there. There's definitely a correlation on, what's not necessarily beneficial for us actually doing the harm to us. But it also, unfortunately, gives us that for lack of better words, that euphoric feeling, that pleasure feeling when we consume it, that
Comfort.
makes us say, I want to feel
That
it again.
comfort. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have so much information, and Vernon, I am so appreciative of you coming on. We kind of went back and forth with our schedules, and I'm so glad that you were able to make some time today. And I'm sure the audience will appreciate the information that you brought to us. And before we wrap it up, because the time is going by so quickly, um, tell everybody how to reach you if they want to get more information. Um, you know, I know that maybe you help out people who are interested in getting fit, or just tell us about a few of your services and how they can reach you.
Oh yeah. So very active on Facebook and Instagram. I can be
Okay.
reached at Vernon P. Davis Jr. for Junior. So at Vernon P. Davis Jr. And a few of the services that I offer. One is a diabetes accountability partner
Good,
program.
good.
That's
That's a good
for
one.
anyone that's dealing with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, or anyone that wants to lose weight. Offer accountability service. We talk about everything. In addition to that, we all have our own stories to tell.
Hmm.
Everything that a person goes through, someone else either went through it before or will go through it and can benefit from, what you learn along your journey. And so we
True.
do help authors start their own publishing company and, help them figure out how to put together their first publication if they haven't written a book yet.
Okay.
So we do offer that step-by-step guide to self-publishing.
So that's
Um,
Davis Publishing, right?
that's under Davis Family Publishing. It is, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
And
good.
my goal is, and this is why I started my own publishing company. I wasn't going to give someone else creative control of my story, nor was I going to let them, reap the majority of the benefits of any sales. And we don't want to do that to anyone else. We want others to feel empowered and be empowered with having creative control of their own story. We're just here as a resource to help you get started in starting your own publishing company, writing your own book, putting out your own book, in which you'll retain the primary compensation for that, depending on which outlet you utilize for printing and things of that nature. But we would not have a hand in that. We're just here as a resource to help those that want to do that get started.
All right. All right. Well, you heard it here. There it is. That it is. And Vernon has given all the information. Look out for, I'll be posting some highlights. And thank you all for joining. Thank you so much, Vernon, for giving us a little bit of your time on a Sunday afternoon. I know you could have been with your family, you could have been had your foot kicked up, or you could have been at the gym, the thing you love to do now. So, or you could have been consuming one of your green juices. But thank you so much for stopping by. And we're going to go ahead and close it out for the night. And thank you all for joining me. And we will see you next week. All right. And don't forget to check out Stunner Magazine featuring all the men. The kings are in the building. And to my friends, I pray that you will prosper in all things and be in good health, just as your soul prospers. All right. See you later. See you in the next episode. All right. And next week, we're going to have another life makeover story. All right. Bye. I'll take a shower.